Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
All right, let's go. Let's get this thing started. Stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. Welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel, where we are about to... Well, we're not going to go through this whole interview, but it was an excellent interview. I thought it was fantastic. It was exactly what they wanted. They got soft questions. They got a little, they were a couple tough questions, but they weren't forced to answer in them. And I tell you what, Dana Bash never once interrupted Kamala Harris or Tim Walz, and she was very deferential, and it was just, she let them answer the questions in the whatever way they wanted, which often was straight up BS. But you know, it was beautiful. Holy criminy. The only reason I put the title Kamala's excellent interview, the only reason I did that is to see if I could get some YouTube love, you know? Because if you say something negative about anyone that's a Democrat in YouTube, then you just get squelched, and I've been squelched enough, so I figured I'd put a very complimentary title on the show and just see how many people throw up in their mouths a little bit. So anyway, let's get this thing started. It is Friday, Funky Friday on the Morning Night Live, the 30th of August, 2024. Let's say hi to the troops and let's get this damn thing started. First of all, in the chat, first, of course, Mr. Avocados Diablo gets the bell. You gotta be quick. You gotta be quick to beat AD. Number two, welcome, Kara Soldier. Also, good morning. Also, Jaeger Pony, my favorite Canadian. Good morning. Also, two, number one, Amazing Disgrace is in the house, and Tyler F's here. Good morning. Somnambule Nation, Trippy Liberty. What's up, my brother? Good morning, K-Shul and Tyre Alexander. The Scourge. Whoop. And good morning, Green Badger Outdoors. Big Dave's in the house. Who else is here? Attack Alpaca. Am I missing anybody yet? I think that's a good start. We got a good number in here so far. 19 right off the bat. By the way, I have also joined reluctantly the Instagram app known as Threads. If you happen to be on Threads, you can follow me there too. I'm also P-Dog Knight there. I'm not excited about it so far. Oh my God, there's a lot of people. For some reason, I'm getting a lot of Caitlin Clark posts on Threads. And, you know, I mean, I enjoy the banter about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and the WNBA, whatever, but it's still like, you know, it's having its little heyday now, and maybe there's some more players in the wings coming up that are going to make it a little more exciting, but they're still going to lose $50 million this year. Ooh, man, I don't know. It's just, I'm surprised the league exists, but you know, it exists because it's subsidized by the NBA, and that's just how things go. So if you're wondering, oh, Mike Savage, blarg. Did I miss you? I didn't. Oh, there you are. I'm sorry, my man. Good morning, Mike. I didn't mean to do that. To Tyler F, did I say hi to Tyler F? I think I did. And Johnny Boomer Tech, I didn't, because Johnny's right over there. One of these days, I think I'll let Johnny Boomer Tech host the show. Wouldn't that be nice if I let Johnny host the show one day? I'm not sure how I'm going to do that, though. I'll have to figure that out. Anyway, let's speaking of show, let's get into it. Now, Gunfox61 has already dropped 2 Hamiltons in the tip jar, and you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you, sir. One is a Oh boy, let's kick this off. 7 days off Twitter jail means 7 days of news drops. That's Gunfox got kicked off of Twitter again for a little bit. And then he's got one that says, get the popcorn. By the way, speaking of popcorn, I don't know what this has to do with popcorn, but today's coffee is brought to you in the happy 1000th episode cup that was made by my daughter that kind of made me into Jesus, I guess, because it's the Last Supper. Now, I don't know if I ever did tell you who all the people were on the cup. I know there's a Nick Rekieta, which now I'm like, dude. Then there's what's her name? Oh, Gabrielle Clark. And then the gal who is Gays Against Groomers on there. Dr. Fauci's on there. Canon Hotep Jesus, Zuby, Elon Musk, Kyle Rittenhouse, Megan Fox, and Glenn Lowry. And I can't remember who this is. This is who is that? Is that one of them is one of them might be Libs a TikTok gal. Anyway, that's who's on the cup. I never did finish telling you that. So now you know. Came for the jazz, staying for the Q&A. Oh, yeah, and it's also Friday. What do we do on Friday? We do Friday Q&A. Let me put up the Friday Q&A. Q&A. Ask me anything. You know how that works. Just throw your questions in the Q&A section, and towards the end of the show, we will go through all the live, through the Q&A live. AD, if you do the little spacer thingy, that'd be awesome. Oh, and here comes Johnny Boomer Tech with lots of stuff. Geez, even you don't know. What don't I know? Well, no, I just forgot their names because there's a couple I don't know. My daughter made this, and I didn't ask her who I wanted on it. And what she did is she just went by, are we ever going to have Friday TNA? Oh, that's an interesting thought. It'd have to be clothed TNA, maybe. Who knows? We'll think about that. Anyway, when she made this cup, she based it on people that I'd had on the show. So Rekieta, Gabrielle Clark, Cannon, Hotep Jesus. Now Zuby's never been on the show, but her husband Jess kind of likes Zuby. Rittenhouse has never been on the show, but he's been a subject of the show. They were subjects to the show. And Megan Fox, and then Glenn Lowry, who I was talking about one day on the show, and she caught that, and so that's who's on the cup. Well, I wonder who will be on the 2000 episode cup, which we'll see about that when we get to it, I guess. So anyway, all right, let me get out of this stupid Threads thing. I don't even know. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll find out if anyone ever sees it on Threads. I don't have any. I only have a few followers on Threads. So anyway, let's get into the show. As you know, Vice President Harris did her first interview yesterday since she's been even as the presumptive nominee for president of the United States from the Democratic Party. It's been 40 days? Has it been 40 days? I don't know. It's been several weeks, and she didn't do an interview. It's just weird because she's the sitting vice president of the United States and didn't do a single just regular interview until yesterday with Dana Bash. Now, we're not going to go through the whole thing because, one, I don't have time. Maybe if I do it later today, I might, but it's not likely because I got a lot of stuff to do. I got to go out of town for a few days. And but what was interesting, and I said this in a post on X when they started putting the clips out. I said, isn't it interesting as you're watching the interview and Dana Bash, because Dana Bash actually posted this. Let me show you what Dana Bash posted yesterday before the interview came out. The first interview with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, she had to have her dad there. Also, isn't it weird how they set it up where these two are here and Tim looks huge compared to her? She looks like the smallest person in the room. But anyway, first interview with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz is wrapped. Watch the first clip at 4 p.m. Eastern time and the rest at 9 p.m. tonight on This is CNN. And so I watched several clips yesterday before I saw the whole interview, which I saw last night while I was watching. And I said I replied to Dana Bash. I said, interesting how in all the clips so far, you don't seem to be so adversarial. Because if you watch the interview with her and J.D. Vance, it was like an interrogation instead of an interview. Every time he would say something, she'd interrupt with something or argue with him or make points against him and say, well, what about this? Well, what about that? In this interview with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, daddy, she had every question she asked was with a very soft tone. She was in fact, sometimes she would just look at her notes and be very deferential, like head down and whatever. With Tim Walz, she's sitting up like this with her arms crossed over her leg and kind of a very, very glaring stare at him. And she smiled a couple times, but she was always very intense, staring at him intently. With Harris, she was just like, well, there's these questions and very gentle and all nice and nicey. And she never once interrupted Kamala Harris or Tim Walz when they were speaking. It was uncanny. I haven't seen this because, especially J.D. Vance. He also did an interview with who's that other weirdo on CNN? Or no, she's might be on CBS. But anyway, she was even more into. She was putting words in Vance's mouth, and so anyway, I was just struck by how different the interview was with the same interviewer. Not intense at all. So it was weird to me, and I thought I'd point that out. But before we get to any of that now, because Gunfox has hijacked the show. Good morning, Fox P2. What's up? Gunfox has hijacked the show, and so we're going to go through a couple of quick articles that he has sent me. And one involves everybody's favorite Democrat, Taylor Swift. Gunfox, I don't know why you sent me this, but here we go. Now, remember there was that plot to... there's a bomb threat or some kind of plot at a Taylor Swift concert in Vienna, Austria, which is one of my favorite cities in the world. So the CIA has been investigating this. Now, I'm not sure why the CIA is investigating a bomb threat in Vienna, Austria, because it's like, it's Vienna is not in the United States, but the CIA says the suspects in the foiled plot. This is by the way, it's from the BBC, not the good BBC. Okay, I messed that up. Let me try that again. This is an article from the BBC. Oh, no, not the good BBC. The British Broadcast Corporation. Anyway, excuse me. Hello, Lord Stanhope. I already said that. The CIA says the suspects in the foiled plot to attack a Taylor Swift concert in Vienna. Sorry, I had to pour my coffee. Wanted to kill a huge number of people at the event. Why? Why do you want to kill people at a... are they going to try to blame this on a MAGA person? Oh, wait. Is that why the CIA is investigating this? Now I'm curious. Okay, here we go. The intelligence provided by the agency to Austrian authorities allowed them to disrupt the plot and save hundreds of lives, CIA Deputy Director David Cohen said on Wednesday. Mr. Cohen highlighted that there were tens of thousands of people at this concert, I am sure many Americans. He added that the suspects' plans were advanced. 3 male teenage suspects were arrested in connection with the foiled attacks, allegedly inspired by the Islamic State group. So these were of a certain religious persuasion. Speaking at an annual intelligence summit outside Washington, D.C., Mr. Cohen said that the day of the arrest was a good day for Langley, referring to the CIA. CIA are the ones who foiled the plot. A good day for Langley, referring to the CIA headquarters, and not just for Swifties in the office. Oh, they have Swifties in the CIA office? That's promising. The Austrians were able to make those arrests because the agency and our partners in the intelligence community provided them information about what this ISIS-connected group was planning to do. This was going to be an ISIS plot? He did not disclose how his agency had learned about the plot. I wonder if that's a Gretchen Whitmer kind of thing. No, probably not. This is ISIS. Some 200,000 people had been expected to attend one of Swift's 3 Vienna concerts, part of the European Swing Over Multi-Continent Eras tour. On August 7th, the day before the first show, concert organizers announced the shows would be scrapped after a warning about a planned terrorist attack from government officials. Earlier in the day, Austrian authorities arrested 2 of the suspects. The third was arrested 2 days later. Authorities said the main suspect, a 19-year-old Austrian citizen. See what they did there. Austrian citizen had pledged allegiance to the Islamic State and had focused on the Eras tour as a target. He hoped to kill as many people as possible, authorities said. Now, maybe help me out here, people. Does Taylor Swift have beef with the Islamists, or is she just too American? Why a Taylor Swift? Is it just because there's a lot of people at a Taylor Swift concert? I'm confused. Last week, for the first time, Swift commented publicly on the planned attack, writing on Instagram that having to cancel the Vienna show was devastating. The reason for the cancellations filled me with a new sense of fear and a tremendous amount of guilt because so many people had planned on coming to those shows, she wrote. But I was also so grateful for the authorities because thanks to them, we were grieving concerts and not lives. Swift performed 8 concerts at Wembley this summer, overtaking a record for any solo singer, which previously was set by Michael Jackson in 1988. Her next show, as part of the Eras tour, is scheduled for October 18th in Miami, Florida. I'm so damn confused about the fact that many people want to go see Taylor Swift. She's not exactly Michael Jackson level talent. I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, but even like Katy Perry's more entertaining than Taylor Swift. I think it's just that she writes chick songs with the same 4 chords over and over and over although look, I did like, what's that song? She had a song when my kids were in high school. Shake It Off. I like that song. That was pretty cool. And I like the video. It's very clever. But I don't know. I don't get it. Anybody? Does anybody understand? Are there any Swifties in my audience? I'm just curious. All right, let's move on to the next article Gunfox gave me here. This is from MSNBC, aka MSDNC. And they want to talk about the Jack Smith's new case. So here we go. And in theory, this is not an editor. Oh, this is the Mad Owl blog. I was going to say this is not an editorial piece, but it is Mad Owl blog. So it's MSNBC. Everything's editorial at MSNBC. What am I talking about? Here we go. Avocado Stabler. I wouldn't kick either Perry or Swift out of bed. Well, I suppose, I mean, Katy Perry's very attractive. Taylor Swift's, I mean, look, if she wasn't a famous singer, she'd be like a Denver 7. You know what I mean? Or Denver 6. I mean, she's cute, but she's not, she's attractive, I guess. I mean, I guess I wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating crackers. Unless crackers was my dog. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'm just saying. Here we go. That's one of my favorite jokes, and I very rarely get to revive it because, I love my wife, and I just shouldn't make jokes like that. Anyway, the Supreme Court make Jack Smith's case much harder. Good morning, Cannibalistic Wizards in the house. What's up? The Supreme Court made Jack Smith's case much harder. His new indictment proves it. Gone are significant allegations that Trump knew he lost, but what remains, conversations with state officials and campaign staff, is likely enough, except for the fact that he's the president of the United States and conversations with state officials and campaign staff are probably part of his jobs. Anyway, in In the wake of the Supreme Court's stunning decision on presidential immunity, legal experts and a variety of predictions of what would happen next in Special Counsel Jack Smith's federal election interference case. Wait a minute. Oh, I missed a word. Had a variety of predictions of what would happen. I was like, wait, where's the rest of that sentence? Anyway, but once Smith's office advised Washington, D.C. federal judge Tanya Chutkan earlier this month that it needed more time to assess the new precedent, including through consultation with other Department of Justice components, I realized one reason Smith could need more time was to supersede or replace his own indictment to resolve the Supreme Court's clearest concerns, and on Tuesday, Smith did exactly that. Others, including colleagues of mine, Jordan Rubin. This is someone, who's this writing? Someone named Lisa Rubin. I wonder if she's related to that other Rubin lady. Including colleagues Jordan Rubin. Is Jordan Rubin your husband? Or brother? Or sister wife? I don't know. And Hayes Brown have written about the changes in the new indictment, both big and small, and what's likely to happen next in the litigation. But assuming the stripped-down indictment can survive both judicial review and November's election, if Trump wins, we can assume his Department of Justice will put an end to his federal criminal cases. What really interests me is Smith's removal from the indictment of multiple alleged conversations between Trump and executive branch officials and how those deletions have complicated his case at trial. Now, this is on MSNBC, so I'm shocked that they're not trying to push that. Wait, who's the jerk? What? A kid, I mean Steve. Okay, never mind. The charges against Trump, all four of which remain, necessitate showing not only that Trump falsely claimed there was outcome determinative fraud in the 2020 presidential election and that he had won, but that he knew these claims were false at the time he made them and conspired to change the election outcome. And that's just it. The longer this goes on, we find more and more evidence that at least there's a reason why he may have thought that. Whether or not it was true or not, I don't think he was lying about believing that. I don't care what his advisors say. He very well likely believed that, and you have to prove that he didn't believe that. So that's pretty amazing. Anyway, the original indictment alleges that sources of Trump's knowledge included senior Department of Justice leaders, including then Attorney General Bill Barr and his successor, then Acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen, as well as senior White House lawyers, namely then White House counsel Pat Cipollone and his deputy Pat Philbin. That document quotes Philbin as having told Trump, "There is no world, there is no option in which you do not leave the White House on January 20th. So that's because there's no real way to challenge an election. As we found out in this particular case, judges threw out any challenges saying nobody had status. How's that work? Nobody had status. So anyway, in the new indictment, however, Smith has eliminated any and all references to conversations with DOJ leaders, White House staff, and agencies within the intelligence community allegedly informed Trump that one or more claims about voter fraud were unproven and or false, or simply that he had lost the election, period. It's no secret why Smith did this. Under the Supreme Court's immunity decision last month, Trump's communication with the executive branch aides are either part of his core constitutional powers, as the court held with respect to his interactions with the DOJ leaders, or at the very least with the outer perimeter of his official duties, so that they are presumably immune from both prosecution and as evidence even as to his official conduct. But now the case won't include some of what seemed to be the most damning proof that Trump knew he lost. The conversations through which Barr, Rosen, and Rosen's then acting deputy Rich Donahue disabused Trump of his false claim. Again, is it false if they start finding evidence otherwise, which like in some of these states they're finding? That votes cast through voting machines had been switched from him to Biden in multiple contested states. Gone. Those conversations are gone. The time Barr also told Trump there was no evidence of a suspicious vote dump in Detroit. Gone. Well, there's no evidence of that. I'm curious. I'm just asking questions. Good morning, Shrapnel, by the way. How about when Rose and Donahue separately told Trump that the claim that there had been more than 200,000 plus more votes than voters in Pennsylvania was also untrue? Cut. Or what of Trump telling then chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, in early January 2021, that it's too late for us to take action on an overseas national security issue and they should give that to the next guy. Nowhere to be found. What does that have to do with anything? Then Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe's assuring Trump that there was no outcome determined of foreign interference in the election, like it never happened. Well, the superseding indictment is a reflection of a weird, it dug up the word weird, dual reality for Smith and his team. In order to save their case, they also had to jettison some of its best proof. The question now is whether what's left is powerful enough to prevail. My guess is yes. Well, it's because it's a Washington, D.C. jury. Of course it is. They don't even need evidence for the Washington, D.C. jury. Is Trump guilty? Here, we say Trump is guilty. Washington, D.C. jury. Guilty. Guilty, 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 guilty. It's unanimous. He's guilty. My guess in part because some of the most important witnesses are still important in GOP politics and therefore all the more credible if they tell the truth. Indeed, without testimony from official Trump world, those who directly communicate with Trump about his failure to win come from two camps: state officials who refuse to do his bidding and his own campaign staff. The Supreme Court's opinion suggests Trump's discussion with both state officials and his campaign staff constitute unofficial personal acts that do not qualify for immunity. Oh, wait a minute. Why not? What, state officials? Really? That's interesting. Consider, for example, two events in the new indictment alleges went down on December 8th, 2020. First, the indictment notes that senior campaign advisor who spoke with the defendant on a daily basis and had informed him on multiple occasions that various fraud claims were untrue, dismissively described those fraud claims in an email as just conspiracy shit beamed down from the mothership that unsurprisingly had resulted in more than 30 court losses to date. Those details are hardly new, but they could carry even greater weight going forward given their source, once and current Trump advisor Jason Miller, who is perhaps even more prominent within the inner circle today than he was in 2020. The new indictment alleges that Trump called Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr and asked him to join the so-called original jurisdiction lawsuit that Texas had filed in the Supreme Court, but Carr declined, telling Trump, according to the indictment, quote, that officials had investigated various claims of election fraud in the state and were not seeing evidence to support them, end quote. And Carr, who defeated a Trump-endorsed opponent to win re-election in 2022, remains unbowed, at least so far, refusing to reopen an investigation of the 2020 election in Georgia's Fulton County, despite a directive from the Georgia Election Board. I think the Georgia Election Board, somehow that got overturned, that they're going to reopen it anyway. Can't imagine Miller or Carr would necessarily welcome testifying in a Trump trial, but I can't envision the Supreme Court ruling their testimony is ultimately off limits under the contours of the immunity decision. The special counsel and those weighing in at the Justice Department understand this, and even as they recover from their Supreme Court loss, they are playing the long game. Yes, to interfere in the 2024 election, they're doing their damnedest. Thank you, Gunfox, for initiating me into that pile of hell. So, as we wade into MSNBC articles, you love doing that shit. Gunfox is not even here to hear this either. It's just one of those things. Anyway. All right, things that are happening in the world. Ursula von der Leyen is in the news. She's the, isn't she like from the UN, or no, she's from the, what do you call it? The European Union. She's the European Union lady, or she's president of the European Commission. And she has issued here's what it says, has issued a fresh rebuke to Viktor Orban in no language Peace is synonymous with surrender. In no language, sovereignty is synonymous with occupation. Those who argue to stop support for Ukraine do not argue for peace. So apparently Orban might have said something that she didn't like, and so she's up in arms. Let's see what she says here. Apparently, I don't know what she's saying. Let's find out.
And ladies and gentlemen, today some politicians inside our union,
and
even in this part of Europe, are muddying the waters.
Tired of wasting money in Ukraine.
They blame the war not on the invader, but on the invaded.
You know what's funny about that? And look, Russia should have never invaded Ukraine, especially Crimea during the Obama administration or the Donbas region during the Biden-Harris administration. That region's been a shit show for a long time. And, I know the whole NATO thing kind of encroaching closer and closer to Russia after they weren't supposed to probably didn't help things. But there's been the whole political manipulation that we've done there in Ukraine, and it's always been a shit show. And so it's funny that the way she said that the blame, when she said they blame the war on not the invader but the invaded. There's been a lot going around there. It's just to be honest, if there's some experts on Russia and an expert on the region that aren't so cut and dry, this is Russia bad, Ukraine good, because they're both shitty countries. They're both corrupt as fuck.
Invader.
And also, what is she, the president of the European Union, right? Is Ukraine even part of the European Union? I know they're not part of NATO. I guess they are part of the European Union. I don't know.
The invaded. Not on Putin's lust for power, but on Ukraine's thirst for freedom.
That's very,
so I want to
very
ask
nice.
them, would you ever blame Hungarians for the Soviet invasion of 1956?
Nope.
Would you ever blame Czechs for the Soviet repression of 1968?
Nope. But that's a whole...
And the answer?
It's a whole different thing, though. I'm just saying.
The answer to this question is very clear. The Kremlin's behavior
was Steph. What's up?
illegal and atrocious back then, and the Kremlin's behavior is illegal and atrocious today. We Europeans have many different histories.
Sure do.
We speak many different languages.
Yeah, the Germans have been in hell over there for a long time, but now they're allies.
Peace is synonymous with surrender. In no language, sovereignty is synonymous with occupation. So those who argue to stop support for Ukraine do not argue for peace. They argue for appeasement and subjugation of Ukraine.
Yeah, she could be right. I don't know. It's interesting here. People are saying when Russia began moving troops to the border of Ukraine, it also turned off the gas tap in order to blackmail Europe. This is someone called Megatron. She almost forgot to mention that before Russia stationed its army since 2014, NATO has been stockpiling weapons in Ukraine, training the army and abrogating the Minsk agreements. Ukraine also shelled Donetsk and Luhansk to NATO, to NATO weapons with NATO weapons as well. So, and then she also forgot to mention the gas stop when the CIA blew up Nord Stream. Okay, wait a minute. Ukraine has taken credit for that now, finally, after however many months that's been, over a year. So, I'm sorry. It's all, to me, this is all a shit show. Now, this is interesting, too. The Netherlands apparently there's a blackout in the Netherlands. August 28th, so a couple of days ago, Defense Ministry network disruption causes widespread outages in the Netherlands. This person saying the Netherlands blackout was deliberate at the hands of the white hats in Europe who were conducting extensive arrests of the Kamala leaders during the blackout, where politicians such as Macron in France and Ursula von der Leyen, as head of the European Union, are known to support immigration and Satanism and to support the WAF Great Reset plan to enslave mankind, these were not the targets. The real leaders are individuals known to the public who might be watching for who takes sick or suddenly dies. The hours-long outage in the Netherlands prevented these elite from escaping by plane or notifying each other of any arrest ongoing. Phones were down, regular communications via email were down, so the arrestees could be taken by surprise. Notably, the EU has been thickly covered by military planes for over a week, busy doing a stealth deportation of migrants using military planes instead of commercial cargo planes. Prevents the public from being aware of the process, thus no warning for the migrants about to be arrested. So that's interesting. If they're trying to deport people in a stealthy manner, maybe to get do it under the radar of the European Union people. So I don't know what's all going on in there. Maybe Mike or somebody who spends more time in Europe could get onto that. All right, moving on. McDonald's is trending now. This topic of McDonald's, I find a little dumb, I'm in the I don't care category so much, but it's trending on X, the app formerly known as Twitter, because there's people. So in the DNC convention, whatever, Kamala Harris mentioned something about that she worked at McDonald's. And now the sleuth on the internet, and I don't know what to believe because you just never know. And I'll tell you why I don't know what to believe in a minute. But apparently, McDonald's corporate sources have come forth and said they have no record of Kamala Harris working at any of their locations. Who lies about working at McDonald's? Now, I'm confused because McDonald's restaurants have multiple owners. What are there, 15,000 or 20,000 McDonald's restaurants around the world, and each of them are like owned by franchisees. And I don't know if I honestly don't know if she could have worked at a McDonald's for one of these companies, but says McDonald's corporate confirmed it was a lie. I don't know who said that, and I don't know what to believe of that. Now, community knows this completely. Here's proof. She never mentioned McDonald's before becoming vice president. She lied like she always lies. Downvote the note. Get this liberal kicked out of the community note program. Because someone, so I guess someone had put a community note on one of these saying that she worked there before 1 billion customers were served. I don't want to know what she served. Anyway, so some people are saying that she didn't really work at McDonald's. Source of McDonald's corporate tells me they have no record of Kamala Harris ever working for them around the time and place she claims. I did fries. Kamala claims she worked at McDonald's, but she never mentioned it until she ran for president. Yeah. Now you would think, I'm sorry, I don't even have the page up here. There are some memes here, by the way. There's this one. Kamala Harris says she worked at McDonald's and used it as some inspiring story, but McDonald's corporate told. So anyway, I have no idea whether or not to believe it. The only thing that would make me think that she never really worked at a McDonald's is this is the very first time she has ever mentioned it in any form of campaign. And so some people are saying the best one here, the best meme on this one would be stolen valor. So, some people are calling it stolen valor that she said she worked at McDonald's. Because how do you, unless she can show his pay stub or find a manager or whatever, someone who works with McDonald's. She's never mentioned this before. You would think if you were one of these just normal people who worked at McDonald's when you were a kid, which pretty much, half the planet is done, or at least half Americans have done, You would have mentioned it sometime in your 40-year career between a lawyer and a candidate for multiple offices along the way. Wouldn't you have ever mentioned that you worked at McDonald's as a kid? It's not up on any of her resumes. Like someone pointed, well, this is the community note. Someone put this here. Alameda County Office District Attorney. This is her resume. She's got her high school on here. She's got going to Howard University, Hastings College of Law. It's not on, for those of you, a resume or CV. She didn't have it on here. She didn't have, I don't know if you'd still put McDonald's on your resume or not, but she's never mentioned it before. So that's why it's weird. You want to be weird? Yeah. If you pretended that you worked at McDonald's, that's kind of weird. So anyway, Willie is trending. And not my Willie won't go home. He's not in the chat now. Willie, don't go. Lots of people mentioning Willie Brown. So Willie Brown is trending. So is Willie Nelson, I guess. The name Willie is trending. So someone here, Andrew Tanteros, Kamala Harris is not a strong woman. She needs men. She needed Willie to launch her career. She needed Dougie for his dough. She needed Biden to put her on the ticket. She needed Obama to oust Biden for her. Now she needs Walz to hold her hand for her first interview. So that's as far as I'm going to go into that trending topic. It'll be in the links. Polls are trending, and not. And we're not talking about stripper poles. No, we're not. Oh, yeah. By the way, good morning, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
And Willie is in the house. I sing the song, and he shall show. Anyway, some of the polls are trending. Still have Kamala Harris leading in most of the polls. In the national poll in particular, but that's just a popular vote poll. You know what I mean? The popular vote don't mean shit. But also she's leading in most of the swing state polls. Almost all of the polls are within the margin of error. So I don't know what this means. Although the Elon Musk poll has 79 to 21%, but that's an online poll that can be freeped. If you know what, hey, here's a question. If you know what freep means, F-R-E-E-P, to freep a poll, put a 1 in the chat. I just want to know who knows what that means. Put a 1 in the chat if you know what it means to freep a poll. Anyway, polls are trending just because different polls say different things. Well, that changed fast. I'm guessing Nate Silver finally figured out the D+11 polls might not be here. Yeah, Nate Silver's poll, or his interactive had changed a little bit. On August 14th, Harris was up 56-42%. August 29th, 52 to 47%. And they do have Trump leading in several of the swing states in this one now. So, and also, there's a little bit different. The forecasting picture has changed. The poll still had Kamala ahead, but the forecasting says Trump is swinging back to the lead. So that's interesting. If you want to read through that thread, you can. Also, because CNN is polling or trending, and let me just go through some of these. Let's see. The only even remotely controversial issue Dana Bash asked Kamala Harris about was fracking because CNN wanted to give her a chance to win back voters in some swing states. This interview is a direct campaign contribution from CNN to Kamala Harris. So if you watched the other part, this is amazing. So during this interview, we knew in advance it was a taped interview, right? It was taped. It was pre-recorded. They edited it. They made it shorter. They cut it down to 20 minutes. During this, and in fact, they even put clips of the interview on CNN's website, on X, on Threads, all throughout the day. During the broadcast of this interview, look in the lower right-hand corner of this screen. What does this say? What does this say? It said live. What? What? This post says America Pravda. This is what the only place people watch CNN is now in the Atlanta airport. The interview wasn't live. CNN is lying again because CNN stands for the Communist News Network. This was not a live interview. Somebody should be sued. Somebody should be sued. Again, here it is. Look at this. First look at CNN's interview with Harris Walls live, but it's not live. Exclusive, sure, because this is the only interview she's done since she became the presumptive nominee. Ever since Biden dropped out, it's the first interview she's done. But it was not live. That's so embarrassing. All right. So anyway, that's trending. Oop, I didn't want to do that. Also, Dana Bash is trending. Now, I'm sure you've all seen the interview. I'm not going through the interview now. If I decide to do it later, if I have time, maybe I'll do it this evening because I really do want to just go through it. But there are several clips out. And Dana Bash, by the way, like I said, my comments on Dana Bash is how deferential she was. Even when she was trying to get them to answer the questions, they didn't answer. I think the only question, one question that she actually had an answer for, because she meandered about so many different things. The only question that she actually answered between her and Tim Walz was whether or not the United States would still be supporting Israel. And I'm sure she pissed off a whole lot of her desired voters by saying that the United States is 100% with Israel. Now, I am fine with that answer, but all those little red, black, or the white, black, and green flag carrying peoples protesting in the streets around the country, I'm sure that they were not happy about that, right? I'm sure they were not happy about that. But it's weird. Now, we'll do a couple clips here. Someone here says, anyone else notice Kamala's constantly staring down at pre-written notes during this interview? She can't even remember her own talking points. Yeah, so here's one of those examples where she's looking down constantly as she answers a question.
What we have done to invest in the American
She's reading,
bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America. What we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their...
She's staring at notes on the table.
It looked like it the whole... Now, she may not have been, but it's interesting how she can't keep talking to Dana Bash in the eye. As if she's searching for answers somewhere, be it on the table or just even in the back of her head, because she has to think more about it. I want to find there's a whole thread of this. I'll tell you what, let's not do it. We're going to just talk about some reactions to this. Also, Kamala's trending because, of course, it was Kamala Harris. I bet you I know which question this is. This is the one that got me, though. I hope this is the right one. This is an example of how Dana Bash, or how you blow it. Let's just see which question this is, because I'll do one.
Here in Georgia, you have less time.
This is the first question of the interview. Very first question of the interview. I'm pretty sure. This is the first question she's asked.
To make your case to voters than any candidate in modern American history. The voters are really eager.
Look at her. She's nervous about what the question's going to be. And I think she knew it in advance anyway.
To hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Now, I want you to listen to this answer. And at the end of the answer, I want you to tell me what's the first thing she's going to do on what's the first thing she's going to do on day one in the White House? Day one in the White House. That's the question. What are you going to do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward, in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and in an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans, really dividing our nation, and I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one,
She's asked the same question. Has she answered it yet? Does anyone know what she's going to do on day one? Anything specific? You would think this is the biggest softball question that you could ask anybody. Every president in the last 7 or 8 presidents have talked about what they want to do on day one. And she hasn't answered yet, but maybe with this second chance, she will answer. Good morning, Now What Studios, my friend moved from high school. And who else did I see? Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
And Unacceptable Views. What's up? Okay, she asked the question a second time. Decipher this.
It's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life.
J.D. Vance's
to help
idea?
them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
So you're going to do all that on day one? You're going to write the legislation? You got it already written that you can just send it to the House or the Senate saying, hey, here's my proposed legislation. Pass this shit. Anybody? Now, and then she goes to Tim Walz. How about, did she just say, how about you? Did she just say, how about you to Tim Walz? Well, Dana, dummy, I'm going to be the vice president, so I'm going to do whatever she tells me to do, because the vice president doesn't do shit. That should be the answer. Did she ask him that?
Issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Okay, you know why she asked this to Tim Walz? Because Kamala Harris didn't answer the fucking question. That's why. So how about you? I'm going to move into the fucking house in the naval yard place. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unpack my fucking bags. That's what you're going to do. Holy shit. What a dumb fucking question. I'm going to do whatever she tells me to because I'm the vice president, and vice presidents don't do shit until later. Oh my God. So anyway, yeah, look, that was the first question, and she didn't have an answer for that simple ass question. I mean, I'm going to undo Biden's executive orders that fucked up this immigration shit. I don't know anything. You don't have a day one that every president says something of what they're going to do on day one, except a rambling plop of crap. All right. So anyway, Biden, all those things are trending. So let's do 1 or 2 reactions. Then we'll do Friday Q&A. Let's start with this one. and this is probably a fairly accurate article. Kamala's first interview was the dumpster fire you expected it would be. Well, that's a great apropos title to the article. Let's go. Oh, this has little clips in it too. This is by Matt Margolis at PJ Media. Did you catch Kamala Harris's first interview as the Democratic Party nominee for president? It was pretty much everything you'd expect from an interview conducted by This is CNN. A lot of softball questions, lots of word salad responses. CNN anchor Dana Bash. Now, I say Dana Bash because if you say Dana Bash, you're pronouncing her name wrong, and that makes you sexist and racist. Even though Dana is a, suburban white woman. Dana Bash actually asked some decent questions, but what really stuck me about the interview was that Kamala Harris, more often than not, avoided answering most of the questions, and Bash didn't seem concerned with getting an actual answer. And that's the difference between her interview with Harris and J.D. Vance. She pressed J.D. Vance hard, and he knocked it out of the park as far as answering her questions, but also redirecting, in a way that just completely dumbfounded Dana Bash to the point where she apparently, not on camera, they didn't show it on camera, but she stormed off the stage at the end of the interview because she was embarrassed. Anyway, she avoided answering most of the questions, and Bash did not seem concerned with getting an actual answer. You knew things were going bad when Harris really struggled to give a coherent answer to the cliche question about what she would do on day one. We just watched that. And when Bash asked Kamala why it took so long to do something about the border, Kamala's answer was a long mess of poorly connected talking points. Here's that answer.
During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings.
Record numbers!
Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum
Fucking great question!
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president that I was asked to do by the president has actually resulted
because you weren't the
in
border
a number
czar.
of benefits, including historic.
Notice she didn't mention border czar because even on This is CNN, they were calling her the border czar. Axios, everyone was calling her the border czar, and yet she no longer is the border czar. She was working in the Northern Triangle. She was doing root cause work. Well, what the fuck good did that do when we're it's like a sieve. It's like a vacuum pulling people out of the well, actually from the whole world, because the people crossing the border from all over the world.
Investments by American businesses in that
region. Oh, yes, and it certainly solved the problem, right?
Of, immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people. And
Donald Trump, it's Donald Trump's fault. Wait a minute. She asked you about why you waited till 3.5 years into the administration to do something. Now, I'll tell you why that so-called bipartisan bill came in the 3.5 year into the administration, because it's an election year, and many senators on both the right and the left wanted to make it look like they were doing something, except all they did was wrote a bill that would make it easier to process illegal border crossers faster and let them wait in the United States longer. Or, well, maybe not longer, but they apparently have better court dates. But all it was is we're going to process more legal border crossers faster. And that's why the bill was going nowhere in the House of Representatives. But there were some Republicans, too, who are in election year. Langford, the guy who co-sponsored the bill, it's an election year, and he's up for re-election. And he wanted to make it look like he was doing something about the border, because that's the number one concern with voters at the time. So they write this bipartisan bill that, they thought they could easily pass, and then someone actually looked at it and said, wait a minute. Why is this bipartisan border bill giving $60 billion to Ukraine and $20 million or $30 million to Israel, and none of it's about the border, except for we can now get a few more border agents to process these people faster? It was a shit bill, and anyone who says it's the toughest border bill since, in my lifetime, bullshit, because H.R. 2 was just last year. And H.R. 2 got stuck in the Senate thanks to Chuck Schumer. So stop lying about the fucking border bill. I'm sorry I'm swearing so much. It's pissing me off.
And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative
members. No, they all need an election year win, and these fuckers tried to push through some bullshit.
The United States Congress, a bill was crafted.
A bullshit bill. Of course you support it, because you wanted to make it look like you were doing something after fucking up for 3.5 years.
I support. And Donald Trump, God word.
Oh my God, Donald Trump.
Oh
Oh no.
Contributed to securing our border.
No, wouldn't have.
He believes
No,
that
wouldn't
it
have.
would not have helped him politically.
Irrelevant.
He
It was
told his
DOA in the
folks
House.
in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security.
Yeah, what about the first 3.5 years? That's what she asked about. That was the question. The first 3.5 years. Not 6 months into the 4th year of the administration. That's some election year shit. The first 3.5 years. Biden Harris. Who is the Harris in Biden Harris? Because I'm confused. Miss Root Causes. I believe you're the Harris in Biden Harris. Your disastrous border policy is why Aurora, Colorado has an apartment complex that's been taken over by Venezuelan gangs. You're the Harris in Biden Harris.
Bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border.
Yes, 1,500 more agents to process the illegal border crossers faster. You weren't putting them there to stop people from crossing the border. I guarantee it. You were there to process them faster and be able to maybe get some more drugs out of the equation. Hello, Selecta Boy. Yeah, boy.
And let me tell you something. The border endorsed the bill.
Did they now?
I'm sure in
Did
large
they?
part because they knew they were working around the clock. And 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America
Are you
has
sure
been
about that?
devastated by fentanyl. What passing that bill would have done to address
Shake your head,
their
yes,
concern
Dad.
and a pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again. I just want to
Not
ask
only
about
push it, I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
Maybe you're going to force the Republicans to ratify it in the House. You hope. So anyway, let's see what else. Before Harris's interview with CNN, we learned that it would only be 18 minutes long. Hardly impressive. It's unclear how long Harris and vice presidential candidate Tim Walz actually spoke with Bash, but it was probably at least an hour. The fact that CNN whittled it down to just 18 minutes suggests they didn't have much content they were willing to air. Of course, if you caught the preview clip that CNN released, you probably figured out already and knew it would be a train wreck. Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes you have made? Blah, blah, blah. Look, the Harris campaign has refused to allow CNN to use the whole interview. They've asked them not to give the entire unedited video like they've done. Look, I'm going to give J.D. Vance some credit. He did live interviews with no restrictions on what the questions would be and no restrictions on what they put on TV. They did live interviews. Donald Trump, interview after interview. Donald Trump went to the National Association of Black Journalists, or whatever it's called, and went on a live stage with them over and over. They were doing interviews left and right. Harris does one pre-taped interview with a super Harris-friendly interviewer and still doesn't answer the damn questions. And if you want, again, a lot of people are going through this. I may, if I get a chance, maybe I'll do this afternoon. Let me just give you a few more articles and then we'll get to Q&A. And Daily Wire also, Kamala defends flip-flops on CNN and CNN interviewer saying her values have not changed. Well, it's really weird that, if her values haven't changed, but some of the things she's changed her mind on, like let's take fracking, for example. I thought fracking was the worst thing you could do for a green economy. Well, she's saying, well, now I won't ban fracking. That's because she needs Pennsylvania. There's all kinds of things she's changed her mind on. And look, change your mind. Oh, wait. Listen to the question, though. Okay, we're going to do this.
generally speaking.
Listen to this question from Dana Bash, because it's a good question, and she didn't press her on it very much. But here's the question.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary?
Instead of just asking the question, Dana Bash gives her the fucking answer. It's like, do you want the blue pill or do you want the red pill? Blue pill, red pill. That's what it sounds like. Listen to the question. I'm not even. You don't need to hear the answer because she she doesn't even answer this question.
How should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information?
Oh, that would be the perfect answer. That would have been the perfect. She gave you the multiple choice question with the best answer first. It's like when you take a test from a professor who intentionally makes the class easy and the answers are all A. You got A, B, and C. B and C are not good answers, and A is always the best answer. And so you go and you take that test, and you're like, oh, I get it. He's trying to make us all get an A on this test. A. She gives her the answer.
Because you were running for president in a Democratic primary?
That would be a bad answer. I just changed my views based on who my audience is, which is what she really does anyway. But anyway, it's amazing.
They feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward.
Dana, I think the most important and most significant...
And you know what? You know how else you know this is not live, even though it says live in the corner there? You know how else you know that? Because they put her answer in the chyron before she even answers it. She hasn't answered the question yet. How would they know that her policy position, my values have not changed? She hasn't even said it yet. But this is a live taped interview. We're putting the interview on. We're playing the tape live on CNN. This is us playing the tape live, so it is live because we're here when the tape's being played.
Significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.
In fact, this was the little preview clip, and they said it's live. How do you have a what? How do you what? Oh my God! How do you preview a clip live on CNN?
You mentioned the Green New Deal.
Okay, I don't know when she mentioned the Green New Deal because I watched the whole interview and she never mentioned the Green New Deal, I don't think. Anyway, or maybe she did. I don't care. I'm done with that. Other articles talking about this. New York Post, conservatives tear apart Kamala Harris' performance in first interview since Biden's exit. So incompetent. So there's just more reactions. These are just all articles about reactions. Harris, Breitbart, Harris, no regrets in defending Biden's fitness to serve. Presidency was transformative. No, wait. The question was about his competency. How is it that he can't run for president again if he's not competent to run for president, but he's competent to stay as president? I haven't figured that one out. Daily Wire asked directly about stolen valor. Tim Walz hides behind school shooting of Brad Grammer. Yeah, his answer to that was bullshit too. Maybe I will do this afternoon. Anyway, there's a lot of articles. I'm gonna just put them in the links for you, Dave. Let's do Friday Q&A right now, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for Friday Q&A. Okay, now I have to wait for this to pop back up, and hopefully I can get into. Okay, YouTube's not screwing around with me. Good. Let's do today's Friday Q&A, and we'll try to go through this quickly because I'm running out of time here. And I want to do quality answers for Friday Q&A because, you know, I'm all into quality and shit. So let me pop out the window here. Here we go. I should have done this earlier, but, you know, I'm not perfect, as you well know. Here we go. All right. Happy Friday Q&A. It is Friday, which is the day we do this. And I think I can take the link down for we'll take that down. We'll unpin that. All right, here we go. Thank you, Avocados Diabli, for dropping some filler in the Q&A box. Here we go. First question is from Avocados Diabli, who says, since self-repeating Franken ants and magical bodily functions are apparently verboten, what are your thoughts on the migratory pattern of barn swallows? Hey, that's interesting you should ask. Because some barn swallows don't actually migrate. Some of them kind of stay in an area if there's a bird feeder around. And I know that because I have a bird feeder that occasionally gets barn swallows in the winter. So I don't have any fucking idea. Thanks for the question. All right, moving on. Avocados Diabli asks, do you have comments on the bite force of a full-grown honey badger? I was going to say something really weird, but I'm not going to. No, I don't. I'm assuming that it can certainly crush the bones of some small animals. Avocados Diabli, what are your 10-year projections for the value of the U.S. dollar in comparison to the Japanese yen? The dollar. My 10-year projection of the dollar, kind of compared to most currencies, is not good. I think it's going to be devalued, mainly because we print too much. Unless we get a president who finally says, oh, yay, Federal Reserve, we can't do this anymore. We can't inflate this anymore. Although the Japanese yen's not doing well either. And a problem with Japan is they are, their population is shrinking or not expanding as fast, worse than ours is. They're not doing enough fucking, and they're not having kids. So Japan's probably going to be in a little bit of trouble too. I know that wasn't supposed to be a serious answer, but I did. Lord Stanhope asks, why? Just why? Because of the wonderful things he does. Avocados Diabli, is Taylor Swift possibly a CIA agent, and maybe her music is just an excuse for her to travel to foreign nations and do her dastardly CIA deeds? That article makes me wonder. You know, that is a very good point. Avocados Diabli, has there ever been a song you thought was so ubiquitous to a time period that when someone who had also lived through it said, someone who lived through it said they had never heard it and it blew your mind? That's, you know what? That's an interesting question. I'm sure there is one. Like, for example, okay, I have some friends that I grew up with, my next door neighbor, in fact, who, like, in the 70s, you know, disco was pretty big or whatever. And, you know, probably 1974 to 1979 roughly was when disco was really hot. And there were songs like I Will Survive. My friend had never heard that song before because he was totally into Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. They listened to rock radio. They didn't listen to anything. And, you know, for whatever reason, they didn't listen to AM radio even. And he didn't know that song. And I'm like, how do you not know this song? It's fucking everywhere. And he didn't know the song until we were graduated from high school and he heard that song. I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool song. So I don't know. That's weird. Avocados Diabli, Cobra Commander or Serpentor? I'll say Cobra Commander. Avocados Diabli, who is the greatest blue-eyed, left-handed, flat-footer singer of all time? I don't know. Would that be Daryl Hall, maybe? Except he's not left-handed. Well, he plays right-handed, but I think he might be left-handed. Lord Stanhope, was Nirvana overrated? No, I don't think Nirvana was overrated. I think their music was just a phenomenon of its time. And if you listen to it now, it holds up pretty well as far as just being interesting. No, I don't think they're overrated at all. Lord Stanhope, if Wu-Tang Clan fought the Delphonics and the Stylistics behind a high school, who would win? Wu-Tang would whoop their asses, even though the Delphonics and the Stylistics, betcha by golly, wow, you're the one that I've been waiting for forever. Is that even the Stylistics? That's the Stylistics, right? God bless you. You make me feel brand new. Okay. Avocado Stably, what do you think of the average lifespan of the common gerbil? What do you think the average lifespan of the common gerbil is and Richard Gere's colon is? 71 seconds. Avocado Stably, is it possibly sexist, but that my metric for women is whether or not I would kick them out of bed? Nah, that's crazy talk. Well, that's why I don't usually make those jokes. Possibly, yes. Lord Stanhope, if you ever caught up in a sausage fight, what sausage do you choose to fight with? Probably a very long, dense pepperoni, because it'd be a little more rigid and hit you like a baseball bat. Because pepperoni is technically a sausage. Let's see. Avocado Stably, if you were a tapeworm, whose intestines would you like to inhabit? That's just gross. No matter who it is, I don't care. Lord Stanhope, if you had to beat someone with a fish, what type of fish would you use? Most likely, well, I live in Minnesota, so let's just say a muskie. Because, although it couldn't be too big of a muskie, because that would be very unwieldy. It'd have to be like maybe a 22-inch muskie. Because the other thing is muskies have those teeth. If you swing it just right, you can plant the teeth in somebody. Avocados Diabli, why is raw bacon so delicious? That's something I don't know that I will ever know. Oh, tarpons. Yeah, those would be good too. And as far as that salami, yeah, Genoa salami would be good too. Okay. Avocados Diabli, have I run out of bodily functions for which the self-repeating frankenants can replace to create various foodstuffs and liquids? Yes. That's the only answer I have for that. It's a yes or no question. So sure, yes. Lord Stanhope, you are walking toward your death in a gunfight at the end of a 70s crime movie. Who plays your walk-off song? Wait, you're walking toward your death in a gunfight at the end of a 70s crime movie. Who plays your walk-off song? Look, in that situation, unfortunately, you can't really say, well, yes, you can, because I think AC/DC, that was a little bit before AC/DC's time, though. Captain and Tennille. It'd be Muskrat Love. Okay, Avocados Diablo, I guess I have. So now the question is, when you wake up and see all the self-repeating frankenants that have left a bill for medical services for the replacing of body parts, how will you pay it? Well, probably in breadcrumbs, because the self-repeating frankenants probably love breadcrumbs, and that's all they need. Look, self-repeating frankenants live very simple lives. I don't think they don't need a whole lot. So I hope that answers your question. With a cod, okay. Oh, we all missed the obvious answer. A hammerhead shark. Oh, that was a good one too, because that's a good one. Okay. Amazing Disgrace. How many licks does it take to get diabetes from a Tootsie Pop? Oh my God. It would have to be in the thousands, because one Tootsie Pop's not going to give you diabetes. But because it only takes 3 licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. But to get diabetes, you'd have to do about 40,000 Tootsie Pops. So 40,000, 120,000 licks if you did them in succession for as fast as you could. But then I don't know. That'd be terrible. Okay. Where am I at? Oh, here's Avocado Diablo. How is it possible that Kamala changed her mind about fracking in 2020 based on information she could have gotten at earliest in 2021? You know what? That just gets a bell, because that is exactly. That's my answer. Exactly. Somnambul Nation, using only your hands, could you reenact the time you were granted a magical anus that shit self-repeating Frankenance and how much you charged at the restaurant for this service? Oh my God, that's like the culmination of all the themes of Friday Q&A in one question. And there you go. There's the answer. Avocado Diablo, are you planning on going to any good festivals this weekend? Cucumber Carnival, Jambalaya Jamboree, French Fry Fair. I mean, the Earl Scruggs Bluegrass Festival is this weekend. No, you know what? This weekend, we're just going to go hang out at a friend's cabin for a day, and then I got shit to do at home. So, or a couple days, I should say. Lord Stanhope, if you could be Godzilla or Ghidorah, what city would you flatten? I know this is not the politically correct answer, but right now, oh no, never mind. I was gonna say San Francisco, but no, it would be Portland. Definitely Portland. But only the shitheads in Portland, because Portland's a pretty cool city if you get rid of all the shitheads. Okay, so there you go. Let's see. Avocado Diablo, Bozo the Clown, Cookie, or Wizzo? Ugh. Bozo got really weird as he got older, and he was kind of he's basically Krusty the Clown late in his career. Cookie or Wizzo? Probably Cookie. Where are we at? Oh, I missed. Oh, actually, oh my God, there's a shit ton of questions. I got to go through this faster. Lord Stanhope, what is the best spot to sit in a crowded restaurant as it explodes? The corner opposite of the kitchen, because usually they'll try to put that, usually the bombs or whatever that causes it to explode happens in the kitchen because of a gas leak. So away from the kitchen. Lord Stanhope, by the way, what's for dinner? Well, Lady Boomer's already gone, so I might just get like a pizza from, what's that place called? They do the little like personal size brick oven pizzas. I can't think of the name of it though. It's right over there. Let's see. Avocado Diablo, if the world was going to explode tomorrow and the only way to stop it was for you to have sex with a corpse of Queen Elizabeth II, would you? Oh my God. You mean I could save the world? Oh, be like, I guess, I don't know. I'd be a hero. Yeah, hero. Lord Stanhope, what's your favorite smoked meat? Oh, I've already answered this question. St. Louis cut pork spare ribs are my favorite smoked meat. Brisket comes in a close second, though. Avocado Diablo, are parsnips just trying too hard? Starchy like a potato, sweet like a carrot, and slightly bitter like a turnip? Yeah, pretty much. Yes. Avocado Diablo, how does a $25,000 tax credit for people who just bought their first home somehow become $25,000 for a down payment when you would already have bought the home to get the credit? So is that what they're doing as a tax credit? Well, that's bullshit. In fact, it's a bullshit idea anyway, because remember, this is just not for first-time buyers, because there's a lot of first-time. This is for first-time legacy buyers, so to speak, like people who've never owned a home in their family before. It's a weird it's basically it's a program for illegal aliens. I guarantee it. In fact, that's a question that somebody should ask Kamala Harris in one of these debates or interviews or whatever. You got this plan to do $25,000 down payment assistance. Will you extend that to illegal aliens? I bet you would, just like California. Fuck California. Ty Alexander, day one. What are you going to do as president? Marty, go. I would reinstate Trump's stay in Mexico policy. That'd be the first thing. That'd be the first executive order I'd sign. And I would call the ICE and say, hey, do your job. I'd just call them all and say, do your job. Let's follow the law. I'm going to say executive order, which seems redundant, but today we are going to begin enforcing all immigration laws. Okay. And then I would try to get Congress to, I would probably write to the House and Senate and get Congress to pass legislation that for the next year they're going to do nothing but repeal stupid laws. That's what I do. Avocados Diablo, do you remember the old cartoon with Cars of the Future? The one that had a car that shaved for you or had bumpers extra wide to mow down pedestrians? What crazy feature would you add to a car? My car would have, in all the door panels, they would be filled with self-repeating Franken ants who could fix any problem with your car with a snap of the fingers. I need it like that one. Lord Stand-Up, did you watch the taped live interview? And if so, what painkiller did you take afterwards? Yeah, I watched it. Actually, I listened to it on Ranting Monkey's channel. And so, unfortunately, I didn't have any painkillers available to me. Deputize all American as ICE agents. That would be good, too. Lord Stanhope, will you have a good weekend? Of course I will. I'm going to be with my family. And I'm going to see the babies this weekend, too, by the way. They're going to join us at the cabin. Select a boy. What's black and white and red all over? Oh, I can't say that. That would be terrible. Black, white, and red all over. Barack Obama on his period. Yeah, that was weird. Lord Stanhope, is being slapped with a wet noodle truly worse than being slapped with a carp? No! Being slapped with a carp would be much worse because all those scales. Select a boy, how is it that Michael Jackson can do the things he does performance-wise? Is it through hard work or his father? He worked his well, both, because his father made him work his ass off. Select a boy, if Michigan is a part of the Midwest, how come it's in the Eastern time zone? You know, that whole Midwest thing is really weird because, you know, Ohio and Michigan say they're in the Midwest, but so does Minnesota, so does Oklahoma, so does Kansas. Although Oklahoma could be considered the Southwest, but Missouri sometimes say they're in the Midwest, so does Illinois. You know, the Midwest is kind of a weird thing because some Midwesterners don't think other Midwesterners are from the Midwest. Even people in North Dakota sometimes say they're from the Midwest, but I don't even know. I have no idea how to define the Midwest. I just know that I grew up in the Midwest, in Nebraska. The Midwest is very, very encompassing. Where am I at? God, okay, I'm almost done. Okay, good. Kara Soldier, Jimmy Dean or Owen's sausage? I've never had Owen's. Jimmy Dean. I love Jimmy Dean sausage. Avocados Diabli, why is the Soulful Strut the greatest walking down the street song ever? Really? Better than Staying Alive? I'm just wondering, because Staying Alive is a pretty good walk down the street song too. I'm going to contest that. Avocados Diablo, using only your feet, can you show a reenactment of Washington crossing the Delaware? I'm doing it right now. You just can't tell because my feet are down there. Selected boy, what's the best rivalry in sports? Oh, that's tough. Best rivalry in sports. Like current or of all times? Because I always thought the Bird versus Magic Boston and Lakers rivalry was awesome. I mean, that was a real rivalry. I think the Boston Red Sox New York Yankees, that's an awesome rivalry. Chicago and Green Bay, or Green Bay and Minnesota, those are great rivalries. What else? There's a lot of college ones. Georgia versus Auburn, or Florida Auburn. Is that the world's greatest cocktail party? Something like that. There's a lot of them, but maybe Boston, New York, because it's just one of the oldest rivalries in sports. Advocatus Diabli, is this the last question? Very close. Not yet. Advocatus Diabli, have you noticed all the questions to presidential candidates are about how they would change laws? You know, Congress's job. Yeah, that's a problem. That's just it. All this shit she's proposing, and that's kind of how, same with Trump, they all are proposing stuff that they still have to get through Congress first. So it'll be interesting. Advocatus Diabli, is this the last question? Very close. The last question is, Selected Boy, do you prefer fatty meat or lean meat? Now that's it. You know, that sounds like a trick question, but here's an example where a little bit more fatty meat would be preferable. When you're making hamburgers, okay, because I'd rather use 80-20 ground sirloin than 93% lean ground beef. It makes a better burger. The grease cooks out of it, but it keeps it moist and it helps it cook better. Now, if we're talking a ribeye steak, well, then I want a nice marbled but not fatty ribeye steak. So there you go. All right, that's it, guys. I got to go. Thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live, and happy Friday. I hope you all have a great Memorial Day weekend. I'm not going to be doing a show Monday, unfortunately, because maybe I'll do an afternoon show. This is a traveling day on Monday, though. So I wish that you all have a fantastic weekend. Please do me a favor, share this stream after we leave. And if you can hit the like button if you haven't done so already, that'd be great. I'll be dropping the links in the chat and in the description of this ensuing video. Please be safe over the extra day if you have a day off. And that's it. I got to go. My name is P Dog Night. And I'm out of here. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Happy Labor Day. Labor Day. Hey, this is P-Dog Night, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dog Night channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P Dog Night, and I'm out of here.